Hello, you beautiful people. So today we are talking about the pros and cons of visiting the Amazon jungle. So I go about once a year to and from the Amazon jungle to collect medicine called Combo. Basically, I go 6 to 8 hours into the Amazon jungle and come 6 to 8 hours back out. It's usually closer to 4 to 6 because the current is coming in the direction that I'm leaving. So it's longer in, faster out. And, I do the whole nine. I'll go into that a little bit more later in the video. However, I want to talk about the pros and cons because I know it's something that a lot of adventure-seeking people might be interested in going to. And I'm just going to give you some information that might sway you to or from going because I personally love the Amazon jungle. But I will admit it's not for everyone. So I'm going to do that. Secondly, and not at all having anything to do with this video, what I'm wearing right now is a traditional Andean made sweater, basically alpaca fur. They make the colors naturally and they sew it together. This is a pretty well made one, and they're not that expensive. This isn't a sales pitch. I'm just saying part of their culture. It looks hot, but it is kind of cold. Anyway, moving on to the Amazon jungle. So when I go down, I usually go down the cheap way for two reasons. First of all, I'm usually going down there for quote unquote business. So to save some money, I like to go the cheap way, but also I enjoy it better. Now there's a very, very expensive way, which I have not done, so I can't really compare, but the very, very expensive way isn't going to bring me to do what I want to do anyway. So a typical trip, just so you know, for me, is I'll get to Iquitos. So I've only ever gone into the Amazon through the Peru direction. I assume all directions are somewhat similar. There's low, middle, and high jungle. So depending on whether you're entering from the high, middle, or low jungle, the experience is going to be different. But overall, I'm assuming the entirety of the Amazon jungle, the experience is going to be very similar no matter what country you're in. So I'll enter from Iquitos, Peru. Pretty typically, I'll take 6 to 8 hour boat ride in. I'll have me, my partner, and typically one guy driving the boat, and I'll tell him generally where I want to go, and he knows the Amazon jungle well enough. It's a different guy each time. I don't work with the same guy every single time, but you go in. We bring some food with us. There's food packed up at the back of the boat that I will either buy or I will pay the guy to get to prep for the journey. Depends on which way I decide to go and if I want to have control over what we're eating. And usually when we get out there, we've gone through most of the meat, so we start catching fish, snails, anacondas, whatever else we can get our hands on to eat as far as meat goes, and all the vegetables usually pretty good for the whole way in. But that's typically why I stay 2 to 3 days and come in and out. I have stayed longer. If I want to, I can stay longer, but the longer you're out there, the more likely the food that you have is to go bad, and the more likely you're going to have to forage to get your own food or stop at a little outposts to get food. And the outposts are somewhat common. I'd say there's one from Iquitos about 3 hours into the jungle, and there's another one, I think, 8 hours into the jungle. I don't remember exactly, but they are. But obviously, the more hours away from the main city you are, Iquitos, the less and less stuff they have. So at the 3 hour one, you're probably going to find a lot of fresh produce, a lot of fresh meat, stuff like that. A lot of them have their own farms that they provide the outpost with meat there as well. The further you go out, the less you're going to find constant supplies of fresh vegetables. There are farms around the area that people have cultivated that are providing some of the stuff, but it goes quickly. So if one boat was to come through and buy 10 people worth of potatoes, they're probably going to have to send a shipment out for potatoes. And a lot of canned milk and canned goods you'll find out there, stuff that will last much longer. So but the deeper you go out, the more people kind of forage. So now on to the pros and cons. So as far as the pros or the cons go, I guess I'll start with, some of you might be like, yeah, I'm going to the jungle, there's going to be bugs. So there are tons of mosquitoes. Not oh man, this is rough. A little bug spray will stop them. Bug spray doesn't seem to do much. A lot of people end up wearing the really thick plastic, pretty classic safari clothing to keep the mosquitoes from getting through. But once you do that, it's not even a huge deal. Even if you're netted and blocked from head to toe, they're not going to get you, but there's just this hum across the entirety of the jungle when you're there. It's kind of nice for the first day or two. After that, it starts to get a little maddening, and for people who aren't resolute in their mind, I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe visit for a day or two and get out. Don't stay for much long. Don't plan to stay longer than a week if you're not sure that you can handle it. It's just this constant drone all of the time. It doesn't bother me. I grew up in a place that I'm somewhat used to it. So if you're not used to it, like you're from New York City, I don't know why you'd be going to the Amazon jungle anyway, unless you're more of the adventurous type. However, the mosquitoes do get to you. The second thing is food. The deeper you go in, if you're not super prepared or you don't want to pay a lot of money to buy like coolers and keep everything safe, or hire someone who has a boat that has the ability to keep coolers or owns coolers already, which is going to cost more as well, you're probably going to get pretty limited on food. So you're going to want to get used to eating like piranhas. Piranhas are very good. I like eating piranhas. They're very easy to catch. They're fun. You toss a line in with a little bit of fish on it. They go crazy and you literally fling it up and someone is in the boat catching the fish. It sounds crazy. It's actually how it goes. I'm sure there's other ways that people do it, but every time that I've been, you don't have to reel anything. You just drop it in and fling them out. It's harder to catch the fish with the bucket than it is to catch the fish on the actual hook. So yeah, there's that. There's like foraging for snails. Usually the people that you bring know how to do it, or you'll go somewhere where they know how to do it. They also have these little marshmallow bugs, I like to call them. They're like little white inch bugs. They kind of taste like coconut and apple roasted. That's a pretty heavy part of their diet down there as well. It's kind of a delicacy, but it has a lot of protein and stuff. Basically what I'm getting at is, the deeper you go, the less choices you have on food. So if you're someone who's like, I am vegetarian, yeah, good luck more than like 4 or 5 days. You're gonna have to start eating meat, or visit outposts, or stick around places that have heavy amounts of like replenishments, or have meticulously planned out where you're going, like a retreat center in which you don't have to worry about it. The next thing is number 3 of the cons list, and then I'm going to move on to the pros. Number 3 is it is dangerous, as you could expect. So a lot of what I do is I'm walking around at night looking for these frogs because they only come out at night. So there are snakes, there are jaguars, and not like an anaconda got me, like they have lancehead vipers, so if one of those gets you, it's pretty much your ticket is punched and that's it. You're done. Now, they're rare. Bushmasters, those guys can sling their body length, so if they're 6 feet, they can jump 12 feet out of nowhere and grab you. I don't know that Bushmasters get that big, but you get the gist. That's also a one and done, like, bite, lay down, enjoy the rest of your day, and find out what the afterlife is. So there are some things they can do, but pretty generally, it's not great. So you just have to be super careful. Be careful where you're putting your hands. There's spiders that are really dangerous. I mean, it's a perfectly curated ecosystem where some of the animals are super venomous. They get whatever they need by injecting venom, and then they eat it. So there are plenty of animals and really well-built hunters there. So you just have to be kind of careful what you're running into, poison dart frogs, etc. On to the pros. Now, when you're in the Amazon jungle, the experience of walking around in those plants, it's unlike anything you'll ever experience. So having a trained guide, if you don't know what you're doing, walking around, seeing all these beautiful flowers, the rain, the greenery, the different plants that you can eat if you know how to forage there, it's just a great experience. And if you bring a good guide, it's amazing. You can get a similar experience without having to go as deep as I can. You could take a day trip in, get that experience, and come back out from Iquitos or probably Pucallpa as well. However, if you want to get the real experience of camping out there, you're going to have to spend 2 or 3 days. It's really nice. I know of some people, there's actually a trail that runs through the Amazon jungle that's like a hiking trail, like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Trail? I forget what it is. Or the Inca Trail here. There is a trail that goes all the way through that some people actually do through hike the entire Amazon jungle. It's super dangerous, and I've heard people say you have to shake off the snakes from your hammock in the morning and stuff, but yeah. That's pro number one. It's so beautiful, and I would say that it's at least worth a visit at some point. The second pro is the food is on another level as far as freshness. It's perfectly built to grow plants. So the food that you get in Iquitos is amazing, and the food that you get in the Amazon jungle, if you're open to eating anything, is really, really, really good and really fresh. And a lot of things that you wouldn't have expected to be good end up being really good. Like, I really liked anaconda. You might not have ever thought to eat anaconda, but I really liked it. So the food out there, I mean, you can't beat the freshness of the Amazon jungle anywhere else in the world. I dare you to try. It's just not happening. It's just the food. So, so, so good. Third, maybe you buy into this, maybe you don't. However, the energetic spiritual energy coming out of the Amazon jungle is tangible. And I went to the Amazon jungle before I would have considered myself spiritual, and I still felt it. There's just this hum of electrical energy that I don't care if you're a banker from New York City or if you are someone who has been meditating and is a monk who has meditated and trained in a monastery for 10, 12 years. You're gonna feel this electrical energy. As long as you can put past the uncomfortability of potentially being wet from the rain or potentially being bit up by the mosquitoes, there's just this electric energy that's really amazing. Bonus round, they have medicine people in the jungle. And these people have been training their entire lives on how to work and treat illnesses from the jungle plants. And they're really good at what they do. There's some cures that they have for things down there that haven't been cured yet in the United States. One of the things that they have claimed to have cured is HIV. Now, I don't know the extent of it. Obviously, I've never gotten HIV and never taken their treatments, but there are people who have claimed to have gone to the Amazon jungle, stayed for 2 months taking the medicine that the medicine doctors had prescribed them, and coming back in remission from HIV and not having any more symptoms and not having to take their medication anymore. So it's, believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me, but there's a really deep connection to the land there, and there's a really deep connection to the different plants and how they're usable there. And to me, it makes sense that would be something that exists, because there's just, I don't even know the statistic on how many different types of species of plants are in the Amazon jungle, but some of them got to cure things that we don't have answers to. So, because I don't see people from the pharmaceutical companies drudging out there to test every single plant. I'm sure some scientist does, but there's so much space and so many different plants regardless. So for those of you that are thinking about going to the Amazon jungle and you don't want to do it the way that I did it, they do have luxury Amazon cruises. So they're like $5,000 for 5 days is the luxury one. And then there's like $1,500 for 4 days for the like middle luxury one. So what you get is dependent on what you decide to pay. If you're on the luxury one, they're going to have like incense going the entire time, so there's no mosquitoes. There's going to be like pools and stuff. I've never been on one, but apparently they're really, really nice. And if you have the pockets and still want to see the Amazon jungle, they plan excursions along the way. You get on the boat. It's all you can eat food. You don't have to worry about running out of meat because they've definitely got refrigerators and stuff on there, and you can just enjoy the trip. If you're a little bit more adventurous like I do, you want to go to Iquitos, you want to get a guy with a boat, probably a translator if you don't speak Spanish, and go on out there, because I would say it is 100% worth it to visit it. Would I say it's right for everyone? No. Plan that accordingly. If you don't want to deal with all the stuff that I had said, and there's plenty more pros and cons. I'm at 14 minutes right now, so there are plenty more pros and cons. But if some of the stuff that I said is things that you don't really want to deal with, do the more expensive option, save up a little bit longer, and do it the way where you're not going to experience any of that stuff. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you want to hear more about my trips in Peru, places that I've been, ideas on what to do, go ahead and click the subscribe button right here. Otherwise, YouTube knows you because you've been watching it probably for a while now, and it has picked a video that is perfectly curated for you. So if you click that, that's going to be the perfect video. Go ahead and watch that, and I will see you soon.